Hello and welcome to episode 35 of IOnTheTigers, a podcast all about the National Ice Hockey League, but one that always has an eye on the Telford Tigers. Well, there's been plenty going on in the league this week. One new signing has been announced, and there's been a few re-signings for at least the next season, and in most cases a couple of seasons actually. So, in terms of the new signing, it's Milton Keynes who announced it, and they have announced that Nathan Ripley is joining them on a two-way from Coventry Blaze for the rest of this season to bolster their forward lines. In terms of the re-signings, Glenn Billing will be staying at the Wildcats next season. And for the next two seasons, Bobby Chamberlain and Owen Sobchuk will be at the Hull Seahawks, and Reece Cochrane will remain at the Bristol Pitbulls. So, roster's already starting to take shape for some teams for next year with some signings, and in fact in a few cases, not only next year but the year after as well. Be interesting to see how many more we get over the coming weeks whilst the season is still ongoing. Moving on to the results, and the action started on Thursday evening with the second leg of the semi-final of the Cup. Wildcats travelled to Milton Keynes and they had a one-goal advantage. At the end of regulation time, the one-goal advantage had been cancelled out and the Lightning won the second leg by one goal. So, off to overtime we went. And the Lightning were able to take it in overtime. They scored a goal in overtime and have progressed through to the final. So the National Cup final is going to be between Hull Seahawks and Milton Keynes Lightning. Before we go into the league results, we'll quickly check in with Tigers 2. Tigers 2 had two games this weekend. On Saturday it was a trip up to Sheffield to take on the Sheffield Titans, and they returned to Shropshire with 2 points, courtesy of a 6-2 win. Sunday night, it was a home fixture against Coventry Blaze NIHL, and that was a 6-0 victory. So 12 goals scored, 2 conceded over the weekend. Another strong showing from Tigers 2. Well, on to the league fixtures in the National League, and we'll start off with the Tigers. The Tigers will host the Phantoms. It's not a match I was expecting us to get anything out of because we always seem to struggle against the Phantoms, and with about 10 minutes to go and being 5-3 down, it looks pretty right. But a short-handed goal and an equaliser put the game into overtime. We had secured at least a point. Would it be more? Well, 15 seconds into overtime, the answer was no. That's all it took the Phantoms, 15 seconds of overtime to secure the 2 points. But, I mean, I'm going to class it as a bonus point because I wasn't expecting anything from it. I feel that we always struggle against the Phantoms, so better than I predicted, but perhaps not quite as much as I'd have hoped for, with sort of a couple of fairly late goals. Other results from Saturday night. So, the Bees hosted the Sharks in a clash down towards the bottom of the league, and the Bees won 6-4 on home ice, so a good win for them. That race for 7th place definitely looks to be hotting up between those two. Wildcats hosted the Knights, and I don't think you can get much closer than this. Wildcats 1, Knights 0. Incredible stuff. I mean, if you only score one goal against Leeds Knights, I think you can expect to lose the game. Shutting out the Knights, what an achievement. But yeah, both net miners must have had an absolute stormer there. 1-0. That's as tight as it comes. Seahawks hosted the Steel Dogs. That one finished Seahawks 6, Steel Dogs 3. And the Pitbulls were on home ice. They hosted the Lightning, and it was a comfortable away victory for Milton Keynes Lightning as they won 10-3. Sunday night, Tigers travelled up to Leeds to take on the Knights. We travelled up short-benched against a team who had been shut out the previous night. We lost 6-0. To be fair, arguably could have been far worse. We are really short-benched at the minute. So across the weekend, we had 11 players not icing each night, which is a pretty phenomenal amount. How many clubs could afford to have 11 players not icing and, still be doing, you know, I guess well, really. You know, we're in sixth, so you know we're doing well with so many players not icing. But yeah, a scoreline certainly suggests a relatively straightforward victory there for the Knights. Lightning hosted the Wildcats. If the Cup semi-final on Thursday had been relatively close, not so much Sunday night, as the Lightning ran out 7-2 winners there over the Wildcats. Steel Dogs hosted the Pitbulls. The Steel Dogs got a win on home ice, winning 6-3. Raiders hosted the Seahawks. And the Raiders won 8-2. I mean, that's a massive victory. Certainly not one I'd have predicted. I mean, could they have pinched it? Yeah, okay. I could perhaps have seen that, but to have won 8-2, don't think I'd have gone for that kind of scoreline at all. And final game of the weekend, last but certainly not least, Phantoms hosted the Bees. This was a little bit closer, finishing Phantoms 3, Bees 2. In terms of performance of the weekend, I mean, the Raiders come pretty close with an 8-2 victory over the Hull Seahawks, but I've got to go for the Wildcats. I mean, to shut out the Leeds Knights, yeah, that takes some doing. So yeah, they can have results of the weekend for me. The coming week, the action starts on Tuesday evening. So tomorrow night for me recording it, tonight for you watching it, and of course you watching it later in the week, in which case it's already happened. But hey ho, it's Tuesday night. We'll stick with that. Where the Steel Dogs host the Seahawks. I am going to go for a Seahawks victory at Sheffield. Friday night, Wildcats host the Steel Dogs. Wildcats to win that one. On to Saturday, Raiders host the Tigers. This is a big game, I feel. Raiders are currently in 9th. I know what I said last week. Oh, yeah, I think, you know, it's not mathematically done, but I think we're there. With what the Raiders have done over the weekend, particularly beating Hull, I'm still going to stick with it that we're going to be in the playoffs. But yeah, a little bit less confident that the Raiders aren't going to sneak in now after that kind of a performance. We are short benched. But I'm going to be confident. I'm going to say the Tigers are going to pip it, and maybe it's going to require overtime. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. Wildcats host the Seahawks. This one looks interesting. Two teams who, generally speaking, been in some really good form. But I'll go for the Wildcats to win that on home ice. Knights host the Phantoms. Knights to win that one. Pitbulls host the Bees. Bees are going to win that one. And Sharks host the Lightning. I mean, I'll say a Lightning win, but if Sharks win, I wouldn't be, you know, completely shocked. Well, I say I wouldn't be completely shocked. I mean, if they go and, you know, do something like an 8-2 or, you know, something like that, then yes, I would be. But I wouldn't be shocked to see the Sharks pip the Lightning. Sunday's fixtures: Tigers host the Pitbulls. Tigers to win. Steel Dogs host the Raiders. Raiders to win. Phantoms host the Knights. Knights to win. Bees host the Seahawks. Seahawks to win. And Sharks host the Lightning again. Again, pretty much the same as Saturday in terms of the prediction. Lightning to win. However, if Sharks do win, wouldn't be too surprised. Both those games are up at Solway. I can see the Lightning winning both. If Sharks do get a victory over the weekend, I think it would just be in one game. I don't think they will win both. Talk about fence sitting, hey? I know, terrible. But no, I'll go for 2 Lightning wins, but I'm not going to be amazed if Solway get at least 1 win out of it. So, that's predictions for the upcoming week. As always, get in contact, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about my predictions, and of course, share yours. I'll be back next week. Bye for now.